Hey everybody, how we doing? Welcome back to the Georgia Map Show. My name is George. I am your host for today's show. Now, we have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. Couple very disappointing moments today, or just in general to say with the sports world. There's a lot of things that we're gonna have to get into and discuss. I am feeling a bit better. Gotten cleaned up a little bit, you know, not as sick as much. But we're doing better. That's the important thing. Listen, today's going to be very interesting. We got a lot of topics to talk about, and specifically one sport today, and a couple other things. So let's jump into it. Hope everyone enjoys this show. As always, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts and opinions on whatever comment, topic, whatever we talk about today. Let me know. Let's get into it. All right, so you guys know every single time we do a show, we started off with a positive vibes moment. And today's positive vibes moment is, well, here's the quote. Attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. Choose wisely. That was from Roy T. Bennett, my people. So, what is that basically saying? What is that quote indicating? What is it basically trying to like give out to say? How you express yourself is a choice. How you decide to come off to other people is a choice. If you decide to be kind to people, that's your choice. If you want to be an a-hole to somebody, that's your choice. But what understanding is to know that whatever decision you make, it can backfire. Why? Because it was a choice. So make yourself, build your character, build yourself up, your attitude, your behaviors, your thought process with understanding that it's a choice. You're making that decision. At the end of the day, we're our own humans, but understand that it's a choice you're making. Um, Listen, I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully, we're staying very positive. I understand it can be pretty rough sometimes, going through with life situations and dealing with all that stuff like that. But listen, at the end of the day, we have to be thankful. We have to be thankful. Um, I think that's one thing I feel like I say a bunch of times to anybody, but it's just the truth. I feel like sometimes we underestimate or we forget how blessed we are, even though we may not have a 10,000 square foot house or a 8 bedroom house with 7 bathrooms, or we may not have a Lamborghini in our driveway, but we don't understand that we're blessed from the simplest things of being able to get up off your own bed with your own will. I think that's something that we forget that we can do, that we're blessed enough to have, because there's many people that can't do that. There's many people that can't get up with their own will and go do what they want to do. It's sad and it's the harsh truth, but it's the truth. There's many people that can't get up on their own will and do what they want to do. Go and do the simplest things of brushing their teeth in the morning or using the bathroom. So, listen, understand that you're blessed. Understand that many people don't have the opportunities that you have. Many people don't have an opportunity to get up on their own bed. They have to rely on somebody else. They have to go through that struggle. Many people don't even get up. They just wear a diaper now. And it's sad. It really is because it sucks. It sucks being in a four wall room, four wall square room where you don't see anything, where you're just looking at a white wall, black wall, whatever color wall it is. It sucks mentally, especially too. That can be very draining, I believe. But listen, with this segment, what I want to leave with today, I want everybody to leave with in their mind is understand that you're blessed. Understand that you have many opportunities. Understand that you are living in a world where you're blessed to see another day, and understand that God gave you a gift that was to breathe, to talk, to smile, to walk. everything like that. Understand he has another day with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with the first sports talk today. That being the ABS rule coming in 2026, you guys. So, for anybody that doesn't know, believe it was sometime last week, MLB announced that they are going to be inducting or adding the ABS rule to the 2026 MLB season. As you guys know, they did it in the All Star break and they've done it in college. Now they're going to implement it to the season. So if anybody doesn't know what the heck that is, and they're like, George, what in the blue hell are you talking about? What the hell is that? So the ABS rule is automatic ball strike system. So basically, off of the cameras, the sensors, and the technology that they'll be using, where it determines where the ball crosses through the strike zone. Um, Basically, put it like this. So if you're a batter and a pitcher throws a ball and you think that that was a ball and the umpire called it a strike, you can just tap your helmet and they'll challenge it. And if it's wrong and the ball was a strike and the umpire was right, then you lose the call. Now, if you get it right, then you're good and they will reverse the call basically. So it's basically like a safe and out on the bases, but just with balls and strikes, to put it like that. That's what it basically is. So Lem I'm trying to see, how could I put it? It's their goal is obviously to have accuracy and consistency because we all know that there's many times where we have an umpire like, Angel Hernandez who calls a freaking strike, and it's all the way up here, literally at the eyeball of the damn batter. Um, but obviously, it's to retain the human element, the fan engagement, transparency, to keep the game alive the right way. Here's my overall thoughts. I feel like it's necessary. Like I just said, the amount of times that the umpires mess up the game, it sucks. Sometimes you get pissed off and you want to just break everything. Well, I don't, but an example, you want to break everything because you're like, damn, bro, what the hell? Like, why? Because of the stupid umpire calling it a strike when it was a ball. Now we lose the game. Like that's bullshit. You know, all that stuff. Part of my language. But there's gonna be mixed feelings because here's the thing. Their goal is to speed up the game, but this is technically, unless they can get it down under 2 minutes. But this is technically gonna take some time because it's like you gotta stop what you're doing, go to the board, see what the people back in the office say, this and that, this and that. It's a bunch of nonsense. But I think it's necessary for sure because of the simple fact that these umpires sometimes get out of hand. There's many times where a no hitter or a perfect game could be ruined, or a freaking, let's say, 2 outs, count is 3-2, bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth. It'll be called a strike because the umpire just says some BS or some nonsense. Um, I think this is going to be good for players like Judge, who sometimes there's many times where he gets called a strike when it's like all the way down here, which is crazy. I think also Juan Soto's probably going to kill this thing because the dude has an eye of, oh my god, it's going to be great with him for the next 15 years or 14 now. Um, but it's going to be good. It's going to help out a lot because, so, like I said, sometimes this thing just it sucks. It sucks where you have thinking, you know, damn, if we had that ABS, we would have been good. Like I know Jazz Chisholm's gonna be happy as hell. Um, but to put it like this, just to give more insight, because I know a lot of people want to have some information on this. So I'll read this all out to you. So, in MLB's version, the ABS, it won't completely replace the human umpires at the home plate, but instead it acts like a challenging system, like I said earlier. So the human umpire still makes the call initially, and then the pitch could be challenged in real time. So the system uses 12 Hawk Eye cameras or equivalent tracking systems, couples with the 5G network provided by T-Mobile. When a challenge is made, a graphic showing the pitch result is displayed on the video board in the stadium and to the broadcast viewers. So, like to the fans at home, everybody at home. So, like I said, basically, it's going to be where if it's a ball and the player thinks they called it a strike and the player thinks it was a ball, he would just tap his head. They'll go and review the call with their challenge system, and then they'll overturn the call. Basically, it's gonna be like how it is safer out on the bases, or like at first base is specific. That's like the same strategy. I think it's good. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It's probably just gonna be something else that people are just gonna be like, okay, whatever. Um, it won't really make a huge change. Obviously, it'll be like a new system implemented for balls and strikes, so it'll help the game be more fluent and more transparent. But let me know your thoughts below about it. I think it'll be good. Help out the game a lot because, man, I know many times there's motherfuckers that are raging about um a call made because the umpire wanting to be dumb. I know that happens many times. So listen, it's a good choice. I think, hey, it is what it is, and that's good. That's it. All right, let's move on to same sport, but let's talk about now that we're at the end of the season. Let's talk about the MVP race from both American League and National League. Let's have a discussion here. Um, Sadly, it's clear favorites still with what the same people that were last year, Judge and Otani. Both players are just a beast. They know what the hell they're doing. But let's have a debate. Let's discuss, and then you guys let me know your thoughts and opinion and what you guys think. So let's start off with the American League. So obviously the main contenders are Aaron Judge and Kyle Rowell from the Mariners. I think Rowley. Um, they're the two clear favorites. Other people that may get some votes is like Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt Jr., Vladdy Guerrero, Bo Bichette, some other people that have contributed. But let's have a discussion because of Cal's performance of hitting home runs and all that and playing such a difficult position and catcher and all that. Many people want to put him up there in the discussion as he should win the MVP in the American League. And this is what I have to say. Are you shitting me? And pardon my language, but are you shitting me? You are going to tell me that you would rather give Cal the MVP over Judge? That doesn't make any type of sense. He leads in almost every major traditional offensive stat in the league. Literally in batting average, on base, slugging, WAR. And he's repeatedly been able to do that while he stays healthy since 2022. For over 2 to 3 years now, Judge has been able to stay consistent with hitting 50 plus home runs, 100 plus RBIs, OPS way above 100. WAR is doing well. Without him, the Yankees are not really that far in anything, anywhere, really, without him. So I'm trying to figure out why would we give it to Cal? Why are you going to give the Cal to the MVP? Because the power with him approaching the 60 home runs that he's hit and everything is what's getting people to like, let me maybe go over there. But I don't understand. Why would you? Judge is like doing a phenomenal job right now. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Right now, I think Judge should be MVP, and it's very simple. I think Judge should be the MVP. Like I said, he leads in every category: batting average, WAR, OPS, slugging. All Kyle Raleigh has him on is the home runs and maybe RBIs. But then after that, it's like, what else? What else is there for there to be a discussion? What? That he hit 60 home runs? Okay. That doesn't really mean anything. That's just one stat. And it's like, here's why I even favored it more to Judge because of the consistency. Because I think that's what's very important is his consistency. He's been able to do this now for many years. Kyle wasn't even brought up in a discussion till this year. And the only reason why is because he's hitting a bunch of home runs. But then after that, 2024 hit, we didn't hear a single bit of a discussion about him. Plus, he's in Seattle. 2022, we didn't hear a single whiff about him. He's a catcher. Like, don't come at me with this bullshit. That's bullshit. Judge got it clear favorite by a mile, the MVP. Literally by a mile. It shouldn't even be close of a discussion. Um, Now, for the people that want to have a debate, have a discussion, let me know because I'm very interested to see what would be the argument on the other side of why you guys think Judge should or Cal should win the MVP over Judge. That's all I want to say because I think it'll be very interesting. Um, and yeah, because I'm trying to figure out what makes it such a close argument. And here's why I damn. Here's why I'm saying this discussion about Judge and Cal is because literally what separates them from the votes is 21 and 19, you guys. So that's very close out of 40 people. 21 and 19. So that means Kyle is 2 points away from possibly beating Judge for the MVP votes. Like, what in the blue hell is that? And the narrative is that as a closing argument in the final days of the season, Kyle has more with power and position. Judge is just hitting dominance over all stats. That's why Judge is leading. Yes, because he's doing better. Like, that's all he's beating him in his home runs, and that's it. But Judge is dominating in every other stat. Now, for Kyle, I'll say this. I'll give him props. To have that much volume of power for a catcher, obviously it's rare. It's extremely rare that we'll see a catcher hit 50 plus home runs. Maybe a Salvador Perez, but it's very rare. And obviously his defensive position, his premium, it's very rare to see catcher do so well in stats just because of how heavy of a load the catcher position is. And he's breaking records, especially for Seattle. Um, but I would give it to Judge at the end of the day. I think Judge is just, he's doing better. His stats is just he's doing way better. I think it's clear favorite Judge. No debate. All right, let's talk about the National League MVP race. Clear favorite right now, obviously, is Shohei Ohtani. He's the runaway front runner, obviously, with the pitching and hitting, two-way threat, making his value bigger, as a single player. Um, it sucks because damn, like it might be Otani every single year, to be honest. But other people that you obviously can bring in to have as a discussion is Kyle Schwarber, Juan Soto, um, who are pretty considered to be contenders. Um, I think why Otani's advantage is so big over like how the debate is in the American League, because Kyle Schwarber, don't get me wrong, is having a great season. He's doing great. With hitting for power and a lot of RBIs. Soto's doing good stuff. Um, but trails Otani in some of the stats. Why he has such a big advantage is just the two-way contribution that he's been able to do, in terms of pitching for the Dodgers, coming out, being able to pitch, also come out right after and hit has been a big value for them. Obviously, that's very rare to see in the league right now. Nobody's doing that really except for Otani. The high baseline stats, so even more of his hitting. He remains still one of the top performers every year. He's been obviously consistent with it. Um, and obviously, listen, Otani is making so much money, you guys. The man is very popular. A lot of people like him. Just good player, good person. Well, that one we'll have to see how time goes by. Many things have came out about Otani that has been pretty interesting, but yeah, it's just a hype. He does such a good job where, you got to give him his props. You got to give him his flowers. Dude hustles every day and puts in the work. Um Now, listen, I'll give it to Otani. Um he's having a good season. He ended off the season pretty well. Kyle Schwarber did pretty good also. The other people that are considered, um, he did good. I think obviously he's fighting. He wants to get that money and he wants to get paid, which is respect. I think he's helped out a lot too with that Phillies offense. He's been a very big contributor with obviously with Trey Turner, Harper, Nick, Castellanos, JT, everybody. But he's been a big contributor. Obviously, he's contributed pretty well to that team and helped them get far. And look, I'll give props to the Phillies. I'll give them respect. They've been very consistent all year long. Like they've been a very consistent team all year long. Everything is clicking for them pretty well. And the parts that they needed to fix, they fixed them at the deadline, and it's been working pretty solid. Juan Soto, obviously, a few times he's going to be mentioned, but Otani's just leading by a mile in almost every stat. That it's just he'll be ending up in third place to say it like that. um, but it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to see. We'll discuss the Cy Young awards and everything, and who should win it, and other trophies. We'll talk about it in the next show, because we do have a lot of things to discuss today. Um, but hey, props. That's good to see. Now, uh, this is this one hurts. It really does. This one really hurts because it's my team, the New York Mets. Um, I don't even know where to start off right now because I don't want to get upset. I don't want to have to scream on top of my lungs like a maniac. I don't really want to have to do that. But just give me 1 second. What? Oh my lord! What a disappointing season. It's sad that we spend all that money to w- w- we spend all that money, all that cachet, just to not even make it to the freaking playoff. Literally. And that's the sad part. We spend so much money. The payroll of this team, I believe, is 339 million or 340 million is the payroll of the 2025 New York Mets, you guys. And we did not make the freaking playoffs. We lost to a third place freaking Marlins team. And I may be wrong, fourth place, whatever, because it doesn't even matter anymore. We lost to the Marlins in a shutout fashion for nothing. We have Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, just to name a few. And you're telling me that we cannot score a freaking run? You're telling me we can't score one freaking run with our career, our season on the line? We couldn't at least score one? We had to get shut out by the freaking Marlins, a team that has a good team and then destroys it right away because they don't like to spend. We lost to that team. We lost to that team that pushed Sandy Alcantara's start to when he was facing us so we don't make the playoffs. And that's exactly what happened. We lost 6-2 to the Marlins our first game. And then we get shut out for nothing. For nothing. With our season on the line. We don't find a way to score at least one freaking run. One run. That's all, like one run. We got zeroed out on the board, shut out. And they were happy as hell, like if they just won the World Series. And all they did was just eliminate us from the stupid freaking playoffs because we couldn't pick our asses up and hit the freaking ball. And here's why. Many people may ask why. Many people may not know, why they didn't make the freaking playoffs. Here's why they didn't make the playoffs. You know why? Because um of one thing. They missed because of a promising start unraveled. The rotation and bullpen was dog shit. Sean Mania, Frankie Montas, Kodai Senga, just to name a few, were freaking horse shit. Horse shit. Literally. Sean Mania was great for us last season. Disappeared. Is far long and gone now. Can't pitch for shit. David Peterson got exhausted. Kodai Senga had to be dropped to AAA, which for people that don't know, that's not a good look for you as a player. Frankie Montas won't be here till 2027, so we might as well let his ass go because every time that we put him in a pitch, it was a freaking fiasco because he sucked. Um, After the second, and it's here's why it's sad and it's frustrating for the people that don't know. It's because the first half of the season, we were off to a great start. We were in first place, we had a pretty good lead and all that. Once the second half came around after the All-Star break, we cooled down and we played like shit. I'm going to put it like that. We played like shit. We fell victim a lot head to head. We lost many close games that we should have won. Obviously, you know that infamous one that was bases loaded against the Nationals, 3-3, with only one out in the bottom of the ninth, that we should have found a way to win, and we lost that. We let the Phillies sweep our asses and kick our asses because it wasn't just a sweep. We got our ass kicked. That's the sad part. It wasn't a sweep and we fought and they just won. No, we got our ass kicked by the Phillies in that 4-game series at their house. Kicked badly, badly. We look like a AAA team. We look embarrassing while we're playing players 50 million plus to be getting our ass kicked to the Phillies, literally. And then the final day, we're tied up with the Reds, and the winner determined. Well, if we won and the Reds lost, we made the playoffs. And then if vice versa, we didn't make it. And what happened? We got shut out by the freaking Marlins. The Marlins. We got shut out for nothing. We already got Pete Alonso, who has decided to opt out, which we'll discuss about in the next show. And listen, it's just Stephen A. Oh, whoa. Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen. 5 years is up. Since you gained ownership, you said if in the next 5 years we didn't win a chip, it's a failure. We're in the fifth year, and we're obviously not going to win a chip. It's time to make some adjustments. Now, I'm not saying fire the head coach, fire David Stearns, anything like that. But we got to do something because this is embarrassing. And I don't mean Steve Cohen himself because he's been trying. You got to give him props. He's been trying. I mean the players. I mean this offense. I mean this bullpen. I feel like, and I say it every time. It's every single. It feels like it's almost every year that it's the same conversation with the Mets every time. It's felt like that for me since 2015, 2016. That the conversation every single time for them is the bullpen and the offense. You feel like every year it's the same conversation every freaking time. That we can't hit the freaking ball and that the bullpen blows the lead or it stinks. Remember that one year that we were up, we had such a high lead against the Nationals and we lost to them because Diaz came in and blew the whole game. We were up like, I forget how much it was. Let's say an example 10-5, 10-4. And we lost that game in the bottom of the ninth to the Nationals. To the Nationals, people. And there's many years that we say the same shit every single time that the bullpen isn't good. I remember that shit from the days with Jurius Familia, who would blow it every single time and wet the bed. Or a Seth Lugo. I remember many times when they would put him in against the Braves at SunTrust or Truist Park here in Atlanta. And we would wet the bed and shit the bed and play like shit. We got to do something because it's getting to the point where 10 years now and it's the same conversation every single time. The bullpen stinks and we can't hit the freaking ball. Jeff McNeil got to get out of here. Send his ass home. Let him go. Bro has lost himself. He's just not the same anymore. Mark Vientos, we got to understand it happens. It happens to the best. His job, come back, clean it up, see your mistakes, learn from them, come back next season doing better. But we got to do a shakeup here because it's just, this is sad that every single year, it feels like it's the same conversation every time. Bullpen and hitting. Every single year, it's the same shit. We got to fix this up because this is embarrassing. So money has been spent on this team, invested into this team to not make the freaking playoffs, to only win 83 games. 83. And you know what kicked our ass is those long stretches of long streaks, losing streaks that we had because we couldn't win a freaking bet game because nobody wanted to freaking hit or nobody wanted to pitch. And David Stearns, I feel like, I don't know, but you obviously you get fault at this because you're responsible for the, whatever's going on. And I feel like in the second half at the deadline, that's what happens. We didn't go out and get another weapon. It was this, I remember it being discussed so much. I remember those times where it was discussed many times of we need to get another bat. Because yeah, we got Brandon Nimmo, Juan Soto, Lindor, and Alonso, but we need to get another bat. Because a lot of them go through a struggle. Lindor went through a struggle. Alonso went through a struggle. Nimmo went through a struggle. Soto went through a struggle at the beginning, but he ended off with a good season. Now, I saw the Mets their show after the game. I don't know who was the guy that was talking about it that said, one of the things that killed them is that Juan Soto wasn't good at the beginning. What does that matter? Like, that doesn't make sense. What does that matter? The reason why they didn't make the playoffs is because we can't freaking pitch. Our starting rotation went to shit. Our bullpen went to shit. David Stearns decided to try to be a fancy pants and get Clay Holmes as a starting rotation kind of guy. And all it showed was that he was exhausted by the end of it because he's never been. He's always been a bullpen person. We bring back Sean Manaea. He plays like shit. We bring Frankie Montas in. Doesn't even last. David Peterson, you obviously could tell was gassed. Kodai Senga, you had to drop him down. You had so much hype for him, but you had to drop him down because he sucked. Injuries is kicking his ass, you can obviously tell. So it's like, what are we doing? Juan Soto has nothing to do with it since June 12th, I think it was. The Mets were fourth runs per game. They were fourth. But we were like 27th, 28th and pitching. Because how bad we were. We sucked. And Carlos Mendoza, oh my God. The way he managed those games was insane to me. It was like crazy. And obviously the way he tried to do stuff, it didn't work. It didn't work at all. Some potential free agents that can be gone this season, this offseason. And players that can opt out. Let's start off with the players that can opt out. Diaz and Alonso. Obviously, Alonso's already chosen to opt out. Diaz looks like he's thinking about it because, shit, you might as well. because you're getting a big check right now. You're the highest paid reliever in baseball, so really put it into consideration. But then everybody else, most of our people from the bullpen, that being Ryan Helmsley, Griffin Canahan, Ryan Stanek, Taylor Rogers, and Gregory Soto. Other people to be named: Cedric Mullins, Starling Marte, Jesse Winker. So obviously, the bullpen is going to have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of people that are going to be free agents, like I just named, that were in that bullpen. We got to be smart with these next decisions. I don't think you should fire Carlos Mendoza or fire anybody, anything. If anything, maybe the hitting coach. I would say get rid of his ass. Um, but we got to do a shakeup here, because this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that this we have these names on this roster and we couldn't make the playoffs. That's embarrassing. And it's sad. It really is, because of all that money that was invested, and you're telling me we couldn't make the playoffs. That's insane to me. We got to shake something up, because hell, it's embarrassing. It's the most. It's gonna go down as one of the most embarrassing things in Met history, with no question. It's gonna go down as one of the most embarrassing moments in Mets history. You spend more than 340 million, or let's say you invest and you don't even make the playoffs. It's not even that you get bounced out first round. No, you don't even make it. Let's straighten this shit out, because this is embarrassing. The Cincinnati Reds, who have not even close to half the payroll that we have, made the playoffs, and we didn't. And we got shut out by the Miami Marlins. Let me say that one more time. The Miami Marlins shut out for nothing. We got to shake this shit up, because this is embarrassing. All right. Let's get to the main conversation that we were discussing, but now let's get to the main prize. Obviously, it's time for the MLB playoffs, you guys. We're in the postseason. We're going to discuss everybody in the wild card from their respective leagues, that being the American League and the National League. I know MLB is going to be pretty happy, because that money, that viewership is going to be pretty high for couple of these series. That's for sure. But let's start off with the wild card. So we have the American League Central going up head to head, that being the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians. Then we have, which I think is going to make MLB happy, the Boston Red Sox going up against the New York Yankees, my people. This is going to be very interesting. MLB, I know, is happy because their pockets are going to be good with this series, because, a lot of people are going to have a lot of eyeballs in it, especially that first game. Oh, my God. Think about it. You got Garrett Crochet versus Max Fried. That's going to be a very good matchup. Both Southpaws. It's going to be awesome. Then you got the Tigers and Guardians, who just faced each other. Division rivals. You got Scaball versus whoever the Guardians decide to put up. It's a wrap. From the National League, you got the Dodgers versus the Reds, which is probably going to be the weaker side of the match. And then you got the Padres and Cubs, which is also going to be an interesting series to see how both teams play it out. So let's discuss. Let's discuss my prediction on each series and who do I think is going to win. So let's start off with the Reds versus the Dodgers. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give it, to me, this is probably the clear-cut, easiest series to predict out of all four wild card games. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I think it's just very simple. When you put them on paper, roster versus roster, who's better? Dodgers. They got way much more experience. You got Dave Roberts there, who has a lot of more experience. Rotation, as long as they can keep their pitchers healthy, Dodgers are set. You got Otani, Freeman, Betts, Tommy Edman. You got plenty of depth. You got Conforto there. You got Teoscar Hernandez. You got plenty of depth to have, and there's no excuse of why you cannot beat the Reds. Literally. I'm sorry for Cincinnati. I'm sorry for the hopes for everybody in Ohio. If it kills the momentum or anything like that, obviously you guys are going in as the underdogs, but I'm sorry. I don't really see any one of you guys, really going and beating the Dodgers. Now, if you do, that's a huge round of applause. No gap. I'm sorry, but I got to be honest. That's a huge round of applause. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Now with the Padres and Cubs, this is going to be a good series because both teams are good. Now, I'm going to personally go with the Padres. I like their roster a little bit more with, Tatis, Machado, um, Luis Arias. You got also Michael King, you Darvish, um, uh, Dylan Cease. You also got now Mason Miller, who's going to be closing games for y'all. That's going to be good. Now it's going to be a close battle because obviously you got the Cubs who have Dansby Swanson. They have plenty of stacked roster. They've been doing pretty good all season long. Then you got Matthew Boyd. You got Cade Horton. Pitching rotation could be questionable. We'll see how it goes with their depth. But I got the Padres winning. I think the Padres, hopefully, they will clutch up, lock in, do what they got to do, and win some ball games. I think with the Cubs, it's going to be close, but I like the depth a little bit more with the Padres. And I think the Padres, with their experience a little bit, will crank up a little bit more. And as long as they have their players perform like, Dylan Cease, you Darvish, those first three, and then Michael King, as long as he does well, and then you got Mason closing games, I think it's a wrap. I think they'll get them and they'll win games. So I got the Padres winning. All right. So let's discuss Boston versus the Yankees, my people. The Red Sox versus the Yankees. Listen, this is going to be a good series. Obviously, the rivalry that they got going on. But I'm going to go with Boston here. And here's why. Offense has been pretty hot, and they've been having a pretty good stretch. A lot of players been performing, and you got Garrett Crochet leading the lead. You got Chapman closing the games, who's been doing great this season. Chapman's been locked in. Obviously, you extended him for a reason. Here's going to be the key thing for the Red Sox. As long as they can hit the ball and score runs and pitch well, obviously, which is the most important thing, I think they got them. I think, obviously a couple years ago, they beat the Yankees in the wild card first game round, took out Garrett Cole. With the Yankees, what it's going to be is Judge. Put it to you like that. Judge is going to have to come up and step up and hit the ball. Obviously, we know that Judge in the postseason is a way different cat. If the Yankees want to get somewhere, they want to win a chip, Judge has to step up. Judge is going to have to get up there and hit the freaking ball and play well. Because if not, airs, pitching is going to wet the bed, hitting, and this team's going to go to shit. The only thing that's going to save them is going to be Giancarlo Stanton. But you got to hope that people like Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, um, step up in good ways and carry the charge for you guys. Because if Judge doesn't step it up, it may be pretty ugly. That's all I'm going to say. Now, with the Tigers versus the Guardians, I got the Guardians, you guys. I feel like the Guardians are more hungrier. It's hard to say because, the Tigers been, you know, battling it out, getting good players and trying to improve. But I think they proved it a couple games ago. The Guardians are right now, I think, going to win it. I think they're very hungry. They got their manager who's probably candidate for manager of the year. With the Tigers, what they're going to need is Scaball to just come out, be shut out. Obviously, he's been a bit this season, bit fishy, but he's going to have to come out and shut it out and set the tone for game one. Obviously, now you have AJ Hinch, who has a lot of experience, with being in the postseason and all that, and beating the Astros. Now, look, Tigers beat the Astros last season, but they fell short to the Yankees. Or was it the Yankees? No, the Royals. They fell short to the Royals. Can they beat the Guardians? I think so. But my instinct is telling me that the Guardians are a little bit more hungrier to win the chip than the Tigers. I think they proved it a couple games ago in that series. Now, obviously, it's a different it's in the postseason, so it's a way different atmosphere. But in my opinion, I got the Guardians winning. I think it's a clear cut favorite. I got them. And then the rest we'll continue on after discussing the predictions and everything like that. Um, but I'm gonna wrap it up here, my people. I hope everybody enjoyed this show. I'm still disappointed in my Mets, man. I really am, because we shouldn't have not made it to the playoffs. We had assembled a pretty good roster to not make it. That's all I'm gonna say. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, stay humble, stay blessed, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.